So I watched this documentary recently called The Real Hunt for Red October. And basically the premise was that there was this sunken Soviet submarine called K-129 that legitimately sunk. It was a missile boat, legitimately down there during the Cold War. We had a very secret operation to go raise it, and we apparently wound up with the ship. And it predates the book and movie, obviously, Hunt for Red October. And it brings up an idea. And I want to point out that I've been actually rereading Hunt for Red October. I've gotten up to the point about where they're finding the reactor leak. It's not really a reactor, which, by the way, they played out much different in the book than in the movie. And I understand why they made those differences because some things in a book play different than they do in a movie. And I got it. By the way, that movie, only time that dude played, Alec Baldwin played Jack Ryan, probably the best performance of his career. Um, but anyway, so the premise of the thing was, hey, here's this insurance salesman who suddenly winds up writing this book that is really good. It's an excellent book. Excellent, excellent book. So this guy kind of wrote it while he was sitting at his kitchen table, and his wife was telling him, hey, you should be out selling insurance, not writing this book. And he cracks some classified stuff that somehow miraculously, when Naval Institute Press, who put the book out, checked it to say, hey, are we allowed to publish this? They were originally told no, and somehow magically it got out. So the premise was, and you can watch this over on Tubi. Tubi's a free app. If you get a chance, download it, watch it. But it's called The Real Hunt for Red October. So the premise is, what if he was actually getting information from somebody? What if the Navy was feeding him stuff? What if CIA was feeding him stuff? Do we care? Did he help bring an end to the Cold War? Um, did was would it make a difference if he was a CIA asset? I don't think he worked for the CIA. Was he just an insurance salesman who was really smart, who went off and figured all this crap out? I don't know. But it is an interesting question to ask, right? So was he, legitimate? Was he just a guy who sat down and figured all this stuff out? Did he get lucky and write the best debut novel that I've come across in a very long time? Or was he being fed some information from somebody? I don't know. And the other question they brought up was Naval Institute Press apparently did a first pressing of Hunt for Red October. It's like 60,000 copies or something. Debut author going through a press that doesn't normally do fiction. 60,000 unit run for the first. It's a whole lot of shit that just doesn't add up here, right? So either he's magically the luckiest guy on the face of the planet, which is entirely possible, or he was being fed information and the Naval Institute Press knew it. And when they sent it out for security clearance stuff, they originally said no. Magically, somehow he said yes. Then a copy of the book miraculously ends up on Air Force One and President Reagan's photographed with it. I don't, was he a CIA asset? Was he not? Do we care? I don't really care. I think the books are pretty good. At least that original kind of core Jack Ryan stuff. When he started writing with other people and got into Jack Ryan Jr., we can argue that all day. But sort of that first 4, 5, 6 books he wrote, I really enjoyed them, and I still enjoying it to this day. And I'm rereading one of them right now. So I hope watch that special. Don't watch that special, entirely up to you, but read the books, watch the movies, see what you think about that transition from page to screen, and was it a good transition or not? The other thing I find interesting about reading his books after all these years is that if you grew up with the Cold War, they still kind of hold up. They've aged pretty well. If you didn't grow up with the Cold War, there's probably a few things in it you're like, who the fuck cares about this? But I'm enjoying Hunt for Red October, even though I'm reading for probably the fourth or fifth time now. So um, everybody, please watch that documentary if you get the chance. If you're interested, I think it's a 90-minute documentary. It's worth the time. Make up your own mind. But one thing I encourage everybody to do all the time, read more fiction novels. It really is good for brain creativity, for the ability to keep yourself kind of mentally in tune. And I think one of the things I found recently reading a bunch of psychology reports about why it's good to read fiction is it helps you develop a method by which we can all grow our ability to be empathetic with others, which is something I think in our modern society we're all missing. So check out that documentary. It's pretty cool. pick up an early Tom Clancy book. His later stuff we could argue all day, but some of the early stuff is fantastic if you haven't read it. Certainly check out Hunt for Red October if you haven't seen the movie or any of the movies starring this guy right here, especially Clear and Present Danger. Fantastic flick. Everybody have a great night.